Yo, what's up YouTube? Back with another video. And today I'm going to talk about another team in a very small list that I believe has the potential to surprise everybody next season and have a shot at the Super Bowl. So I made a video about the Arizona Cardinals. You can go watch that right now. It's a great video. But as many of NFL fans expect, the Tennessee Titans are going to be one of these teams that are most likely underrated at this point and will surprise everybody. So before we go into the video, please, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, hit that bell. The channel growth has been so great. A subscribe would mean so much to me and Mike, so we really appreciate everything that's going on. And thank you for all the support. Let's get into the video. So the only reason why I'm making this video is because the Titans surprised everybody at the end of the 2019 NFL season and into the playoffs. So this is a team that started with a 2-2 record and a team that most people didn't expect to make the playoffs. But when Mariota was benched for Ryan Tannehill, this team just surprisingly took off, an unstoppable offense that literally no one could beat because of many very important players that I will be talking about later in the video. But let's go into the postseason. So, week 1, they played the Patriots of the postseason in the wild card weekend. This game was in New England, a 6 seed versus a 3 seed. Everyone thought New England was going to get that first round bye, but they choked the Dolphins week before. And nobody thought the Titans were going to win this game, except for me, of course. So they did go into New England, and they upset the Patriots, the best offense in the the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion, one of the top 5, and absolutely smothered it. And I'll get into the more specifics at the end of the video. But the following week, they played the Baltimore Ravens, and very similar to the previous week, they outsmarted one of the best defenses in the NFL. And that team obviously is the Baltimore Ravens. This team also has a top 5 defense and absolutely outsmarted them and won this game 28-12. So I guess you can say both the Tennessee offense and defense played spectacular in this game. But the following week, they did play in the AFC Championship with Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and what did we see? We saw the Titans leading in the beginning of this game, but that is no surprise because the Kansas City Chiefs literally trailed every game they had in the playoffs and won. We did see a Kansas City comeback in Kansas City, Missouri. I didn't expect Titans to win this game, but they did give a really good fight, and they ended up losing this game 24-35. It was a really great performance by the Tennessee Titans, but their offense just got completely countered at the, I guess you can say, halftime of the game, and that's why they lost. And that is a specific issue I will be addressing, but I believe it is fixable. So I want to talk about this team's Pro Bowlers. So obviously we have Derrick Henry, a running back 1. Derrick Henry just had an amazing end of the season. I believe he finished 2nd in the league in rushing yards, and he was just having a monster year. He was getting all those 70-yard, 60-yard, 80-yard runs. Incredible. Absolutely carrying the team. And surprisingly, I have to include this because it is very important. The Pro Bowler, Brett Kern, they are punter. So I'm including this because field positioning is very important for a defense and an offense to win a game. So once you punt the ball away, you want the ball to be very, very close to the goal line of your goal line. So they're very, very, very backed up on offense. And Brett Kern is probably one of the best punters in the NFL, punting down 13 downs inside of the 10-yard line, second most in the NFL. So this is just an amazing stat, and this is very crucial for getting great field positioning. And once you stop an offense with the Tennessee's defense, once you stop an offense that's in like the 10-yard line, 15-yard line, you automatically get really good field positioning back. So it's very important, and that's a very good aspect of this team's special teams. Enough about special teams. Let's talk about this team's defense. So this defense, I wouldn't say it's the best in the NFL, but when it came to playing really good offenses, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, not particularly the Patriots, but I guess you can say it performed well against Tom Brady. This team just came in clutch. This defense came in clutch, and it's thanks to many of these players, including Kevin Byard, who had 6 interceptions the entire NFL season, 5 in regular season, 1 in the playoffs. This dude performed really well for the Tennessee Titans as a safety, had made really great tackles, and absolutely popped off in the postseason with those tackles, getting a very, very large amount with 20. So it's really great for this player. You also got to give props to cornerback Adoree Jackson, who also made a lot of tackles. I would say Kevin Byard is more of the superstar on this team, but he is a very great character for this team's defense, which did help them win games last season. Also, we have linebacker Jayon Brown, who had 1 sack the regular season, not the best, but I wouldn't say that's his main purpose, but he had a ton of tackles, with 104 tackles in the regular season, virtually making him a superstar, in my opinion. And he did have an interception, so this dude had a really great season and helped them throughout the entire postseason. And Malcolm Butler, who had interceptions, so this team's defense was stacked. Malcolm Butler had his revenge against the Patriots, his former team. You also got to give props like Kenny Vaccaro, Harold Landry, Rashaan Evans, Vic Beasley, Isaiah Mack, Daquan Jones, Jeffrey Simmons. All of this defense was performing well. I wouldn't say it's the best defense, but when it came clutch against really good teams, this defense went lights out and performed really great, especially against the Baltimore Ravens. You also do have to give a lot of props to the Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. So we saw Mike Vrabel's creativity throughout the playoffs, exploiting rules, getting really good field positioning, literally wasting clock against the Patriots. This dude is a very smart, very compassionate coach who really gets in with his players, making them better as people, as themselves, making them better players overall. This dude was obviously a former NFL player. He did play for the Patriots, I believe, and he got his revenge against his old team, his old coach, Bill Belichick. So this team's defense, their coaching staff, is going to be decently good next season, and I'd say it's going to be similar. I hope it doesn't give as much points as it did up, like against the Saints. They gave a crazy amount of points up at home. We might see that in a couple games, but I'm sure this defense will come up clutch in the prime time in those very important games and get them wins sometimes. So I'm hoping the Titans, you'll see that from them next season definitely, which is definitely an aspect for a Super Bowl team. But before I talk about the rest of the team, I want to talk about the Titans' schedule for next season. So the preseason, pretty easy, but we gotta look at these games. So obviously they play the AFC North, including the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and they play the NFC North, which includes the Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions, and they do play the other two teams, the Broncos, and the freaking Bills, I believe. So I guess second place teams are pretty good in my opinion. So the schedule isn't the worst, but it's not, the best. But I can say this, that their division is going to take a step down for the worse. I think the Colts, even though they have Phillip Rivers, aren't going to be good. Titans should get wins over both of those games, in my opinion. I think the Jaguars, definitely the worst team in the NFL, so easy wins for the Titans there. And the Texans didn't really pose a threat to the Titans last season. They did beat them in Tennessee, but that was very close, and then the Titans just destroyed the Texans in Houston, but they did bench their starters. So I do believe with the loss of Hopkins in Houston, I believe Houston's also going to downgrade. So the Titans should be easy favorites to win this division. And they have not the worst schedule, but the Texans definitely have a harder schedule than them. So a couple of things about this team's schedule. Week 1, they play on the road against the Broncos. So that's 50-50 in my opinion because the Broncos could be emerging, but I feel like the Titans should get this W. The Jaguars next week easy, and the Vikings week 3, and that is in Minnesota. So these are like the opening schedule for them. It's kind of stinks, but Vikings week 3 might be a hard game. Pittsburgh Steelers week 4 could be a very hard game. Buffalo Bills in Buffalo week 5, I believe, could be a hard game to play. The Texans the following week, and then the Ravens November 22nd. So that's in Baltimore, and I think the Titans should win that game. Like, history repeats itself easy. Fortunately, they do play easy teams like the Lions and the Bears at home, but that also means they play the Vikings and the Packers on the road. So this is a favorable schedule for them. I do believe they should easily get a division win and possibly get the second or third seed in the AFC. So it is favorable for them to make another great playoff run with home field advantage, even more possible with the seventh team in the playoffs, which could eliminate the second seed, giving the third seed home field advantage in the divisional round. So next, I want to talk about the Titans offense, and we're also start with the quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. So Ryan Tannehill officially started, I believe it was week 6 or week 5 against the Denver Broncos, and he did lose this game. But the rest of his performances were spectacular, having a very great QBR in some of these games, like 140, 155, 133 against the Chiefs. So all of these, the rest of these performances were really great. My brother drafted Ryan Tannehill, and I thought he was like joking at first. But this dude's putting up like 30, 40 fantasy points a week. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Ryan Tannehill was just having an amazing season with the Titans. There was no other fit. He was so underrated because he was injured with the Dolphins, and he was really good with the Dolphins too. So when this dude throws for around, I'd say an average of 250 yards per game in the regular season, it's really good, and it's good for winning games. I wouldn't say Tannehill is the touchdown monster, but he is averaging 2 to 3 touchdown passes per game, which is consistent, and it's good to win these easy matchups and gives them favorable probability to win against harder teams that they do play next season, like the Packers, the Vikings, the Bills, the Broncos, the Ravens, the Steelers, all those. So it's good that they got Tannehill instead of Mariota, of course. So one of the reasons why Tannehill was having such a great season is because of wide receiver rookie A.J. Brown, who just completely shocked everybody. I thought he was the best wide receiver rookie last season, no doubt about it. A.J. Brown is like a historical, really great rookie receiver in my opinion. He's going to be a name to reckon with next season and the seasons to come, because Ryan Tannehill just absolutely targeted him, and he had many great plays. So as a rookie, this dude had 1,051 yards and absolutely popped off. He had many great games, but it started popping off when Ryan Tannehill was his QB, like against the Texans 124, the Raiders 153. All these were really great performances, but we saw earlier in the season when Mariota was QB, he didn't have the best stats. But this dude was just a touchdown monster. I believe he had 8 touchdowns the whole season, and some of these touchdowns were on really long receptions, and he was a monster in the way that if you throw him a short pass, like a slant or anything like that, this dude's off for the races, hard to catch. He's already getting 70 yards a catch, and we saw that in a couple of games in the playoffs. This dude was the wide receiver to go to. Even if he was covered, Corey Davis, first-round pick of a couple of years ago, he's available. He's a good wide receiver for them. And tight end Jonnu Smith is also a very reliable receiver, touchdown after touchdown in the postseason. So this dude, all these wide receivers, tight ends, they're really great for the Titans, and they will have really great seasons next season, no doubt about it. So the next thing I want to point out, which is easily going to help this team next season, is their first-round draft pick, Isaiah Wilson. So he's a tackle, selected, I believe, 30 in the NFL draft. This is a very great pick, in my opinion, because Isaiah Wilson is perfect for the run. So this dude was a tackle at Georgia, and he barely gave up any sacks as a tackle. One sack he gave up the entire season last year. But this dude was especially good at making room for the running back to run. And you already know that's with the addition of left tackle Taylor Lewan, which is already a star for them. You already know Derrick Henry is going to have a monster season. So it's kind of unfair to draft Isaiah Wilson because it just gives Derrick Henry, the running back himself, just more opportunities to have more explosive plays, more yards per game. And honestly, with that draft pick, with an already outstanding offensive line, I believe Derrick Henry should lead the league in yards next season. So if Ryan Tannehill isn't having the best game, which we saw a couple of times, doesn't matter because Derrick Henry is there to carry. And we saw this in the playoffs, the entire playoffs, where Ryan Tannehill didn't even have good games in my opinion. He didn't throw the ball as much. He didn't have touchdown passes, but Derrick Henry just completely carried against the Patriots, one of the best defense in the NFL. This dude had 182 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, amazing. The following week against the Ravens, one of the best defenses in the league in Baltimore, 195 yards. And he had a passing touchdown, which was even funnier to mock it in the Ravens' face. So the problem is, we already know this team is offensively gifted, and everything I pointed out is basically what I have to say. So everything I said is their strengths, but we got to point out the obvious. Once Derrick Henry isn't having a good game, it's over. Because we saw this against the Chiefs, which I guess you can say it's a little bit of a stretch because they're the Chiefs. But if the Tennessee Titans are playing a very good team and Derrick Henry isn't having a good game, then they're not going to win that game. So we saw this against the Chiefs, who figured it out before they played them, and Derrick Henry only had 69 rushing yards, and they lost this game because they could not run the ball. Tannehill wasn't clutch enough. He still did score 24 points, which is decent against the Chiefs, but I guess the Chiefs is a bad example, an outlier, because their offense is amazing. It's basically unbeatable. And if Derrick Henry's countered on offense, then it leads it to Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown, the rest of the offense. And if that doesn't work out, then it's over. The game's over. And that's the problem with the Titans' defense, is predictability. If Derrick Henry is figured out by teams' defenses, and this team is going to have problems. But I expect that to not happen, obviously, because our offensive line is amazing. Isaiah Wilson's going to create more plays. You already know. So this team has the potential to win the Super Bowl, no doubt about it. Could get that second seed, which I think is very probable. So do not underestimate the Tennessee Titans, who will surprise you next season. So that is it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Click that bell for notifications. Click that like button. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Adios.